Our next guest is Michael from Triangle Interactive.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
I gotta ask about the Too Much Tomato.
Oh, yeah, that's just kind of my studio name. But I'm here to talk about Triangle Interactive Arts Collective today.
Yeah. So, what can you tell us?
We're a group of indie developers and creative people in the Triangle region of North Carolina in the U.S. We're a pretty new group that's mostly focused on just supporting indies and beginners with game dev. And this is actually our first global game jam, so we're really excited for it.
But you have
Congrats.
participated, in other game jams, right? This is not your first game jam.
Correct. Yeah, this is my first global game jam, but not my first game jam.
Okay. So, what are you doing to prepare for this one?
Well, I just learned the theme, and I'm mostly trying to make sure to be a good host and make sure the venue is good, make sure we got good snacks, make sure I communicate kind of like the right attitude to bring into it to everyone in the collective. So, yeah, we're really excited for that.
What attitude is that you're hoping to, kind of share with everybody?
Well, I do actually have a slide deck to share here for 5
Let's do it.
tips for
That
a healthy and happy
segue.
game jam.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, I think like a lot of people kind of have a vague idea of what they're trying to get out of a game jam when they start. Like they have this idea in the back of their head that they want to make a game. But I think it's really important to really clarify what your goals are and kind of go into it, in the right headspace. So the first tip that I have is like to clearly define your goal and what you're looking to get out of the jam. That can be a ton of different things, right? I think a great one is just to have fun. You might want to practice a very specific new skill. You might want to make friends with game developers in your area. You might want to learn to collaborate better, especially if you're like a beginner or solo developer. Like, how do you actually work on a team with other developers? And then another one people have a lot is to just like finish anything. And so I always recommend, and in our group, we're doing this as well. Like a lot of people will post, I'm a programmer and I want to work on a team, but no one ever posts like, I just want to have fun with this jam or I just want to practice this one skill. So I think it's really important to both define like what you want to do and what your skills are, and also like what you want out of the experience. So that way, when you're forming teams, you like can kind of mesh on that same aspect too, right? You're all in it to have fun, or you're all in it to make like a hilarious joke game or whatever. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is start really small. Like, I'm sure you hear this all the time from people as their like number 1 game jam tip. It's like, keep the scope really small. Yeah. Because in addition to like people always say like, don't crunch in game jams. And I think that's really important too. But if you scope your game too big, it's going to incentivize you to want to like work and try to finish it. And like another way you can avoid crunching on something is to just really scope it down small. So I try to actually, this kind of blends into number 3, is like block out your time and try to leave half of the time for bug fixing and polish. Like in the 48-hour jam, like weekend style, like if you leave that last Sunday entirely for fixing bugs and polishing, it's like you're having such a great day on Sunday. Just add it. You're like, oh, I just thought of a hilarious joke to add into the game. Yeah. Like, what if we make this silly sound effect and just throw it in there? And then you just have like these great moments with all your friends and collaborators that you might not have had if you're like rushing to get this big game idea done in the last day.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before, but that is a really, really good idea. Scope it down to 1 day for initial development and then bug fixes, polish, and some more fun creative stuff on the second day. That's a really good call.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, just like, I like to use Google Calendar and literally like just drag the little blocks of time. Like, this is when I will have this done. This is when I'm taking my lunch break. This is when I'm going for a run. This is when I'm like, we're going to do a little walk around the block and talk with the
That's a great one too. Exercise. You got to keep it up. I currently have a little bike underneath my desk because I was like, I'm going to be sitting for a long time today. So I've literally been biking between segments.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, whenever I hit writer's block, I have to like run around the block. That's the only way to get my brain working again. That's great advice.
Very good for you.
It's so true. Yeah. And if you've got like a group, it's like really fun to just walk away from the computer, get outside, and like you come back with such clarity and focus when you come back to your game. Yeah. So it's like you're not gonna, if you take 10 minutes away from the computer to walk, that's like an essential part of the jam in my experience, like not just, go and pedal to the metal with the programming.
Yeah.
So we're already talking about this. Take care of your human needs in a game jam, get rest, do some movement, get some breaks, sustenance and sleep.
So when you're working with the Triangle Interactive community and it sounds like what you're doing is sort of community leadership, how do you make sure people are doing these things? Is this something that you try to enforce, or do you let people sort of take their own approaches to it?
I let people take their own approaches, but I try to lead by example, right? So I'll be like, hey, I'm going to go run and grab lunch. Let's go. Or like, hey, let's take a quick walk, that sort of thing. I'm also closing the jam site at 10 p.m.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of helps for the on-site jam. But, obviously people do know their own limits and you kind of have to respect that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, having lots of snacks and drinks that aren't caffeinated or alcoholic is helpful too. So like,
honestly, yeah,
we have a lot of like seltzer water, and we're always crazy about our seltzies in our community. Like I'm always bringing a cooler to all of our co-working events and stuff. So that's really helpful to, encourage like the water drinking as well, which people say a lot. And the last one is to like make friends. A lot of times the relationships you make with your collaborators and fellow jammers are more important than your output. You've been hearing it from a lot of people on the stream today. Years down the line, you still like talk to the people that you did that one game jam back with in the day, and maybe you work at a studio together now, or maybe these kind of friendships that you make during a game jam, they have these wonderful ways of spiraling out into all these fantastic things. So just have a great time and make friends.
Takes pressure off too.
Yeah.
Have a great time, make friends. It's sort of my life motto. I'm doing okay. We're trying.
Right at average, I would call myself. We're doing our best. Have a good time.
Yeah. So in terms of like bringing all these people together, making friends, fostering that community, what you're doing is very cool with Triangle Interactive. Do you have any tips for how people who might want to do the same thing in other regions could approach community building like this?
Yeah, I was going to make a point to talk about this before you kicked me off the stream. But like, first of all, go on Meetup or go on Eventbrite and just kind of search to see if there's any groups, especially doing like indie organizing in your area. Like a lot of times there'll be co-working or playtesting events. These sorts of groups with indie developers kind of forming collectives and co-working together, they're happening all over the place. And if you are searching and can't find one, what I recommend doing is just starting one. It'll take a while of just planting your flag in the ground and waving it around. You're going to feel a little silly when no one shows up to your events sometimes, but that's all part of it. And, network with other creative groups in your area. If you can't find any game developers, find some writers, find some painters, find some artists. They do kind of creative co-working sometimes too. And basically all the little connections start forming and your group will start growing organically, but you just kind of have to get out there and, go talk to people.
Yeah.
This is great advice.
Do you have any advice for people for whom, if this is their first game jam or they've done game jams as a solo dev before, maybe this is their first time working on a team?
Yeah. So that it's their first time or their first time working on a team. I'd say like, you want to another reason why you want to like take care of your health and your like your breaks and feeding yourself and sleeping well is because you want to be a good teammate, right? So like if you're like grumpy because you haven't eaten all day, then just make sure you're taking care of yourself and encouraging other people to take care of themselves too.
Yeah.
And keep an open mind and collaborate well. Yeah.
All great advice. Is there anything else that you want to leave people with as they, apparently, again, 16,000 people have signed up as they head into this year's Global Game Jam?
Absolutely. 16,000 people. Remember, don't let the fun end after Global Game Jam. If you had a fun time collaborating with people in your community, keep going and keep like hosting events and doing other game jams, doing other things. Like if you're feeling any sort of like imposter syndrome or anything like that, the way that I found to get past that is to just meet real life people and like talk to them and like feel like you're part of a community, and people are really welcoming, as you've seen from this stream. So
totally
go out there and keep doing it.
Yeah.
Great tip. Last question, just how did you feel about Roots as a theme?
It's going to be a good one because there's going to be a lot of really awesome conceptual games and also stuff with plants, which I quite like too.
We can all get behind that.
Yeah, clearly I'm in. That's my entire background, clearly.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for joining us, Michael, and good luck with this year's Global Game Jam.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Michael. Oh,
All great
good
tips.